Alexa, should I buy more manga?
Stop it. Get some help. You have enough manga to support the library of a suburban elementary school comprised entirely of tiny weebs. Consider gathering your volumes together for kindling for a fire that would burn throughout the winter.
Behold the manga I have collected over the past 3 months. Now, the really sad part is that I actually have more than this. I bought 8 volumes of My Hero Academia for my classroom, but they're stuck in my classroom. And I live in the Midwest, and it is currently January 30th as I am filming this, and it's negative 20 to 30 degrees outside, wind chill. I am not about to go over there to get them. So unfortunately, those will have to be saved for a future video. But let's go ahead and get started. First with Captor Sakura Volume 5. Remember how I warned you guys about clamp syndrome? I think clamp syndrome is hitting pretty hard in this series right now. Unfortunately, things are just kind of slow. Nothing's really happening. Like, yeah, we're learning a couple of new things, but really I feel, and I'm trying to be vague here because I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't read this volume yet, I feel like this information could have probably been shared like Volume 3. Clamp has a really hard time with just kind of getting to the point, and then they rush everything in like the final volume. Even my favorite Clamp series, Chobits, has this issue where they're like, "Hey, by the way, second to last volume and the last volume, they're like, here's everything you need to know about all the plot twists, and series is over." And it's like, wait, what? Like, huh? Like, Clamp doesn't like to let their characters live with these revelations. They just kind of like to get them done with and be over with it. So I mean, it's still enjoyable. It's Cardcaptor Sakura, but it's just really slow. I wish they would just kind of get to the point here. Next, of course, is Dead Demons DDDD Destruction. Oh my goodness, that title is such a mouthful. But fortunately, this series is just beautiful. And I love these covers. The character designs are really quite something too. They're both cute and kind of disturbing at the same time. So the thing I really like about this series is that it's super political without being dumb about it, if that makes sense. It makes a political statement, and then it kind of lets you figure out how you feel about it. It's not in your face going like, hey, you need to be absolutely passionate about this, and you need to be absolutely sure you are against this. No, it just says, here's the thing. Here's what I, the author, clearly think about it, and have at it. And I really, really like that about this series. It's not preachy, if that makes sense. This is definitely one to pick up, but again, my warning to you, cute characters, mature story. Be very, very careful with this one. Alrighty, next we have volumes 1 and 2 of Erase, the Omnibus edition. These were gifted to me by my good friend Ian, and Ian pops up a lot on the show, doesn't he? This is a very interesting series, so interesting, in fact, that once I was done with the second Omnibus, I went out and sought the rest of the series digitally. I just had to know what the ending was, because this is a murder mystery. It's about a guy who grows up and experienced a situation when he was younger where 3 kids in his hometown were murdered, and he gets the chance to go back and basically correct what happened. It's really, really trippy and really, really crazy. I will say though, and this is just coming from me, I don't know if anybody else had this experience, but I saw the twist coming a mile away. I kind of knew who the murderer was almost as soon as the character was introduced. But again, this could just be because it was me who was the type of person who was reading this, but I thought that was kind of interesting. Either way, definite recommendation for me, and yeah, it was creepy, but good. Next we have In This Corner of the World, gifted to me by my good friend Peter, who also appears a lot on this show. Hey Peter. So this is a really interesting story because it's about a young woman who lives in a neighboring city of Hiroshima in the 1940s, and yeah, you can see where this is going. It's a very interesting story though because it's not directly in Hiroshima. So you don't really see what happens. You kind of just see things through her eyes and through who she meets, who comes from the awful event that was the bombing of Hiroshima. And it is super sad. It's not like kick you in the gut sad, but it's still pretty sad. Be in a good mood when you read this. Next we have JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Volume 9 of Stardust Crusaders, and Polnareff, you're looking good. This is an interesting volume because unlike Volume 8 with Iggy on it, this one is thick. It's a thick boy. I think the reason why some volumes are thicker than others is because they want to keep certain story arcs together. They don't want to like separate them between volumes and make things awkward. Only problem is this volume is just as expensive as any other volume. So, the Iggy one, which was a lot thinner, in my opinion, should be a tiny bit cheaper, but it's not. Either way, though, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you guys know, it's fantastic. I'm super, super excited for Volume 10 and to finally complete this sweet, sweet JoJonian edition of this series. Now, the cool thing is we're not getting a JoJonium of Part 4. There was never a JoJonium in Japan of Part 4, but we are getting hardcover omnibuses of Part 4 that still look really, really sweet. So, yeah, awesome, awesome job, Viz. You're doing an amazing job with this series. Keep up the great work. Next, we have Kaguyasama Love is War. Now, this book in particular contains probably one of my favorite shoujo chapters of all times. I can't see the fireworks. If you've read this volume, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I Can't See the Fireworks is legit, no sarcasm, one of the best shoujo chapters I've ever read in my entire life. It is so good, and the feels are so real. It's amazing how like a comedy like Kaguya, which makes fun of shoujo manga, also seems to get exactly why we love shoujo manga. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to continue things from here. Most people know, seeing this video, that Volume 6 is already published of this series. Because, you know, I don't know, shoujo's not really my thing. It takes me a really, really long time just to, like, find a shoujo series I like and then stick with it. But it's good. I mean, if you like Kaguya-sama, keep reading it. Highest recommendation for me if you're into that kind of stuff. Then, of course, my lovely one, Land of the Lustrous, Volume 7. Oh my goodness, Lapis Lazuli, you're just so cool. Top 3 gems, man, Phos, Antarctica, and my girl, Lapis Lazuli. Now, I know I'm probably going to get like 3 comments being like, she's not a girl, they are genderless. Okay, whatever. But anyway, Land of the Lustrous is fantastic. This volume also covers stuff that the anime hasn't even gotten to yet, so I don't want to talk specifically about what's in this volume. But what I will say is this author has a really, really nasty way of ending volumes on the biggest cliffhangers ever. She is quite cruel to people who patiently wait for her volumes to come out. Yeah, she's just cruel. It's hilarious. But again, highest recommendation for me for Land of the Lustrous. As always, fantastic stuff, and this is definitely my favorite volume cover. Next, we got Mob Psycho 100. What up? Oh, finally, I love this manga series. Now, just a warning to you, yes, this is by the same author as One Punch Man, but he is the one who draws this manga. It's not Murata, so you end up getting some really janky art. I mean, this guy is, if his writing is super, super, super good, inversely, his drawing is not that great, especially in Volume 1. He does improve on things as the series go on, and in my opinion, actually does some things better than like professionally drawn manga. Like there's some scenes in there where like his quote unquote bad art actually lends to some of the horror, because when you're looking at like demons and stuff, you're not really sure what you're looking at and you're like, oh, this is creepy. So actually like lack of detail can be really, really good. Mob Psycho 100 is kind of interesting because, especially as coming from someone who teaches junior high students, my junior high kids really do not like this series. They don't. They love One Punch Man, but they do not like Mob Psycho 100. And I think I know why. It's not because they have bad taste. Not always, anyway. And I think it's because this is one of the very few series that I've ever read that gets junior high students right. Mob is going through puberty, and his puberty affects the way he thinks and the way he interacts with people. And unlike Naruto, cool things don't happen to him because of his puberty. Like, it's a bad thing, much like, well, real life. And I think that students, my students anyway, understandably, by the way, I totally understand why they're doing this, don't want to be reminded of the real crap they're going through in their real life. So I've noticed adults really, really like Mob Psycho. Kids really don't. It's kind of interesting for me to see it through that lens, to get that feedback from my own students about this series. But if you're not shy about that kind of stuff, you know, definitely give it a read. It's just a fantastic time. And Reagan's best boy. He's so great. Next, we have Noragami, Volume 19. Wow, long time no see, Noragami. Good to have you. Now, many of you who've seen my videos before know I'm Catholic, and I love this imagery of Yota framed by the moon, almost like a Catholic saint. I think that's so cool, especially for something so Japanese. Noragami Stray God, fantastic series. Really interesting take on Japanese mythology. Again, the hiatus really raked this series hard. And it's sad that it's going so slow now, but, up to this point, I'd say it's definitely worth your time. As I've mentioned in past videos, it's the modern day Inuyasha, and I mean that honestly is the highest compliment. Next, we have One Piece, Volume 88, Praise Oda. Oh my gosh, Whole Cake Island is so good. And in some people's opinions on the internet, Wano is even better, but I say hold your horses. Let Wano be finished, and then we can compare the two. But personally, I'm really enjoying Wano right now. Can I just say, Carrot for crew member 2019, can we get this campaign going? Please and thank you. Jinbei's awesome too. Let's get him officially part of the crew already, please. And Capone is just rad, man. If you would have told me that my second favorite supernova would be Capone, I'd be like, what, are you serious? Like, literally just Capone, a guy who's based on Al Capone. But, I mean, Capone just kicks so much butt in a Whole Cake. Also, outstanding character, Big News Morgan. He's probably one of my favorite characters in One Piece. He's just absolutely hysterical in this arc, too. As always, fantastic stuff, One Piece. In particular, I really do enjoy this cover. It's just hard to explain without spoiling things, but it just conveys so much. And at the same time, it's so vague, just to keep things secret about this volume. Fantastic stuff. Always a high recommendation for me. Next, we have One Punch Man, and hello, One Punch Man, how's it going? Volume 15, featuring Watchdog Man. I love him so much. He's great. I believe I've actually talked about this volume before on this channel, and oh my gosh, One Punch Man is just fantastic. Watchdog Man has a really, really great chapter in this book. Garo in particular has some really great stuff in here too. Garo is like an outstanding character, really just fascinating guy. He's the antithesis of Saitama. Saitama is this human with monstrous power, and then Garo is a human with a lot of power who wants to be a monster. So, this guy with amazing power wants to be a hero, another guy who wants to be a monster. Garo's just really, really interesting. And the final chapter, the bonus chapter in this book, is really, really funny. Do check it out. Next, we have Pop Team Epic second season. If I take enough time on my day, I'm going to go ahead and manually censor this cover in a video editor. Pop Team Epic, as you guys know, is just hysterical. I love Pop Team Epic. Really great stuff. Really, really funny, surreal humor. It's just too bad that it's just so graphic. A lot of kids watch this channel. I've had messages sent to me from kids as young as 10, 12. And so, it's a shame that I have to censor this, but, it is what it is. Pop Team Epic is great. Anime is really funny. Comic is funny too. Sorry, manga. Oh gosh, it's a 4 so I'm just so used to American comics being styled that way. My apologies. Oh, terrible sin on my part. Calling a manga a comic? Jeez, well, I guess it's a type of comic. Anyway, moving on forward. We have To Your Eternity, volumes 7 and 8. So, To Your Eternity, great series, but this is where things really start to pick up for me again. I talked in the past about how around volumes 5 and 6, you kind of start to question hey, what's going on with the series? Are we getting anywhere? Is this going anywhere? They introduced this character in volume 7, feature on this cover called Prince Bond, who is just a really fascinating character who introduces some really fascinating, again, interesting concepts to this series. He adds on a whole new level to our main character's struggle, which I'm really, really fascinated to see where this new development goes. So basically, Prince Bond can see ghosts, and he can see something particular about Fushi that I don't want to spoil in case you haven't read these volumes, but I'm really interested to see where this goes. If you haven't noticed, just in, in the past, I love cowardly characters, especially cowardly characters like Usopp from One Piece, who were also super narcissistic, and Prince Bond fits that to a T. So, great character, great series. We have Yotsuba, Volume 14. Now, Yotsuba, if you consider yourself a manga fan and you haven't read Yotsuba, what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing? Go read Yotsuba. Yotsuba is fantastic. It's one of those rare manga that you can basically give to anyone of any age, and it's really, really no problem. It's about a young girl who grows up in Japan. She's adopted, and she's super, super cute. This volume in particular is pretty cool for me because I visited Japan some years ago, and Yotsuba goes out to Tokyo in this volume. So it was really cool seeing some of the stuff that I saw in real life and seeing Yotsuba react to all of it. So that was really interesting. As always, high recommendation from me. Then finally, we have the Full Metal Alchemist art book, the complete art of Full Metal Alchemist. Again, my policy on these videos is to not open up these books. I don't want to upset any copyright people. So unfortunately, I can't show you the inside, but this is just gorgeous. Contains pretty much all of the art drawn for the manga. I'm sure there are some exceptions, but I haven't done my research. My only complaint about this is it's kind of hard to see, but the back really easily smudges. You probably see more like here. You can see by the barcode here, there's a couple of smudges. So yeah, this thing scuffs really easily. But other than that, fantastic stuff. This is a really nice kind of way for me to support the series still today because I don't want to get any of the new hardcovers simply because I already own the series and I like the original Viz version, so I'm not planning on shelling out more money just to get a series I already own. But this was, again, a nice way for me to continue supporting this series. Definite must-have for me if you are a fan of Fullmetal Alchemist.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe. Really helps me out. And until next time, this is CJ, signing off.